Hi, good to see you on the Gapster channel. We're going to talk today about reclocking the digital signal in audio. There's a lot of misunderstanding about reclocking and what does it do and why is it important, is it really important. So in this video I'm going to talk a little quickly about certain practical examples. To simplify things, I'm just going to show you a quick graph here. This is a sine wave, and the 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers represent the time. And so each bit is going to be decided on the time. At 1 second, you're going to be this high. At 2 seconds, you're going to be this high. And that creates a sine wave. Now, if one of these times is not exactly accurate, you're going to get a slightly deviated sine wave that is not true to what it's supposed to be, and the sound will be different. It's just a little crude way to show you a little bit about jitter. So if you're listening to a 96 kilohertz file, those 1, 2, 3 becomes 96,000 times per second, and that's how it's so easy to have errors. Timing doesn't mean the clock is too slow or a bit too fast. Sometimes it might run slower, sometimes faster, sometimes will glitch a little bit. So that's what we call jitter. And that could change the sine wave as the time goes. So now if we send it into a reclocking system, so we're going to take that stream, we're going to say, no, this is the actual timing because the new reclocking device is going to have better clocks, better power supply to supply the clocks, and the timing is going to be more accurate. Now the music is going to come out in its proper timing, and now we're going to have much better signal, and you're going to hear it for sure. Unless you're going to some extreme, very, very expensive, big reclocking systems, or especially if you're trying to do some DIY project and you want to get the best reclocking without spending a super big fortune. In my experience, I've had the great luck using the Ian Canada's reclocking board, which he called it the FIFO-Q7. This is probably the crown jewel of the reclocking DIY systems that you can actually buy right now on the market. It's a very tiny little board and it's got some beautiful clocks on it. You can also upgrade the clocks as well. If you are reclocking in a DIY system, you can incorporate the FIFO-Q7 into pretty much any system that use the I2S system. What I'm talking about, like the raw I2S systems. For example, in this case, we are getting a raw I2S from an Ever Solo, and this is a DM PA6 here. You can get it from the T8 as well. On my Patreon, we discuss a little bit about how to do that. But any I2S raw signal can be put in the FIFO-Q7 and made even better, and it does sound different. If you are doing a system, don't kid yourself, without the FIFO-Q7 reclocker, it is not going to sound the same. It does make a difference. And if you add the UC Pure clocks, there's another increment of improvement as well. Now, if you're not into major DIY and highly advanced, you can still use the FIFO-Q7 because Ian makes quite a few boards as inputs. For example, the DDC board will let you input a USB signal, let you input regular I2S that you get from the back of your streamer, and optical and coaxial, all these things. And you can actually reclock the sound, and you can put another output board where you can get the actual I2S back, and now it's reclocked and it will sound quite improved. And not only is the board itself, it's a supporting power supply that actually helps the board even more to create that signal, because the clocks are extremely sensible to two things. The most important one is power supply, and the second one is vibration. With my recent interface, what I call the Gapster interface, this is just purely for an old DAC chip. It's called the TDA 15418 chip. was a lot of work, and it's mostly just for that one almost hard to find chip. But what a lot of people think, oh, well, can we just skip now the reclocking 54Q7 and just go straight to the interface? You can, they'll sound good, but not as good, because the interface is just purely taking the signal from one end and sending it to on the other end as clean as the original file is, but it's not going to make it more. It's not going to improve the jitter. This is not a reclocking system. It's not going to change the timing of the signal. At the very best, it just does output it exactly the way it came, and it does a very good job at that because of its structure. So it is still best to bring your signal through a reclocking system, and then if you're building one of my DACs, then you would send it to the DAC after that. I know everybody thinks, well, bits are bits. It's all revolves about the timing of the bits. If played on the wrong timing, it just simply won't be as good. And that's where the whole game about reclocking or clocking, having good clocks, oven clocks. Oven clocks are basically where you keep the clock at the right temperature so there's no drift. But again, if you are in the very stable temperature-wise, usually it's not a huge deal. But these are all, names and real words you'll hear and talk about in the basically clocking world. So just to give you a little bit of an understanding of what it all means. If you haven't joined my Patreon yet, we talk about a lot of things that we don't talk about here. There will be a couple links in the corner here. One about a streamer that I built from scratch using the 54Q7 system and other parts as well from me in Canada. And there will be a link here about how to build my Gapster TD1 DAC, a speaker in the middle if you'd like to subscribe to the channel. Take care, and I hope to see you again.